Broncos fans are bailing.
They've had enough.
It's 9-9. They're like, the heck with it. I'm out.
Imagine the worst train wreck you can envision. And then realize that the train crashed because the Hindenburg and the Titanic ran into it. That was the 2022 Denver Broncos, a team many picked to make the playoffs following their blockbuster trade for Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson.
And once again, with boos raining down, Denver is not able to get it done.
And just like the actual blockbuster, that seemed like a horrible investment. The Broncos were a quarterback-desperate team who thought they had found their savior and instead only won 5 games and became the biggest punchline in sports. Today, I will explain the 2023 Broncos to non-football fans. That's good sports. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscape.com/goodsports. Move over, Tim and Al. There's a new handyman in town. Yeah, the Handyman Compact Shaver by Manscaped. Now, to be honest, I haven't used an electric shaver in probably 15 years because they all gave me bad razor burn. That just changed. I tested Manscaped's new Handyman on my neck, which is the hardest place for me to get a good shave because my hair grows in a billion different directions. And the Handyman is amazing. It gave me a smooth, close shave with its unique dual blade system, which is a standard foil shaver and a long hair blade to knock down 3 days worth of growth. It's got the patented skin safe technology and is waterproof so you can shave wet. You know the deal. To shave off 20% from your order, use my unique link below, manscaped.com/goodsports, and order the Handyman. The game-changing compact shaver, perfect for travel, that lasts up to 60 minutes. Something you only could dream about accomplishing before. Lasting 60 minutes. The most important player on any football team is the quarterback. And for the Broncos, that is Russell Wilson, who once won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, his former team. That team actually beat the piss out of the 2013 Denver Broncos. It was the 5th worst beating in Super Bowl history, but after a decade in Seattle, Russell got tired of his old gum-chewing 9/11 conspiracy-believing head coach Pete Carroll and demanded a trade. Which technically makes Russell Wilson the most patriotic and most pro-American quarterback in the NFL right now. And if you root against him because you think he's corny, it means you actually just hate freedom. Let me explain this trade in terms you might understand as a non-football fan. Say you want a different car and your neighbor that you hate has a 2012 sports car. It's only a 2-seater, but it's got a lot of zip and handles really well. So you offer him 3 semi-decent cars, plus a bunch of credit at the local dealership. You get his car, and you're really excited, but when you take it for a drive, you find the transmission is shot, the engine needs work, the headlights out, and the radio keeps saying, "Let's ride," for some reason. And there's a bunch of Subway sandwich wrappers littering the floor.
Family screaming, "Oh my God, we're burning alive!"
Then you take it in for a tune-up, and when driving it home from the shop, you accidentally hit a deer and the car gets a concussion just when it was starting to hum. And that deer, it doesn't die. No, it prances away and wins a fucking Super Bowl again. And if that wasn't bad enough, everybody makes fun of you and your car trade for months. But you take a second mortgage out on your house so you can afford the best available mechanic, new head coach Sean Payton. 2022 was the year people loved to hate Russell Wilson because he wasn't playing football at a high level. The biggest sin in pro sports is to be bad at the game, while also being dorky. Russell Wilson is married to musical artist Ciara, who is both talented and beautiful, so insecure men all over the country, seeing Russell Wilson struggle on the football field, got incredibly jealous that one of the most beautiful women on earth would choose to be married to this guy.
You smell like you about to get pregnant again, is what you smell like.
Girl, Future is out here crying.
Ciara used to date rapper Future, then she upgraded for Russell Wilson, and she's never going back. into the future. Now, the second big thing that's going to define the 2023 Broncos is their new head coach. Last season, Denver fired first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett after getting embarrassed by Patrick Starr on Christmas Day.
Excited to welcome Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach of the Denver Broncos.
Really enjoy making love to your ears.
A few moments later.
The Broncos just fired Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett, let's say he's like a school teacher. Well, he'd be a substitute that comes in with too much positive energy, not enough discipline, and a questionable handle on the curriculum. Enter Sean Payton, the longtime head coach of the New Orleans Saints, where he won a Super Bowl just 4 years after the city was devastated by Hurricane Katrina, who most of you will remember as the time Mike Myers said,
"George Bush doesn't care about black people."
Just kidding, that was Kanye West. But Mike Myers certainly didn't stop him. Speaking of George W. Bush, Condoleezza Rice is a part of the Broncos ownership group. Don't ask me why, but she is. That happened after Walmart purchased the Broncos in 2022. So the Broncos are owned by Walmart and Condi Rice, which is why all military members will be wearing Broncos gear the next time they start a war in the Middle East. Kevin James also played Sean Payton in a movie, even though Sean Payton's never really been that fat. So Nathaniel Hackett, he's a pushover substitute teacher. Sean Payton's the opposite. He's a no-nonsense teacher who takes exactly zero guff from the students, the faculty, or the PTA. He wears tight pants to the teacher's in-service days so the other teachers know how well endowed he is. Most coaches live by the bro code, meaning they don't sleep with other coaches' wives without permission, and they don't talk bad about one another. Well, Walmart paid Sean Payton so much money, he now lives by his own code and just spits facts, saying this about former head coach Nathaniel Hackett.
It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was.
Now that might sound harsh, and it is, but also not untrue. Now, nobody was more offended by that than current Jets QB Aaron Rodgers, whose best friend is, Nathaniel Hackett.
It made me feel bad. Thought it was way out of line, inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's names out of his mouth.
That's right, Nathaniel Hackett got a job as a coach with the Jets. The NFL handles bad coaching the same way the Catholic Church handled pedophile priests. Just sends them to another parish or team and hope nobody notices. Now, the Broncos aren't just going to be better because of Sean Payton. They will be better because they added 2 stud offensive linemen in free agency, Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. The offensive line is really important, but it's incredibly boring to talk about. Nobody gives a shit about the offensive line, and anybody who takes time to watch offensive linemen and give them grades are sick. The offensive line, though, it's like your furnace. If it's not working, your life is hell. Your life is uncomfortable. And despite being incredibly important, the only time you think about it is when it's not fucking working. The biggest question mark the Broncos have going into this season, is their offensive line any good? We think so. They put some money into it, but none of us are really sure. Now, the Broncos' best player on defense is a cornerback named after what some consider to be the greatest gaming console ever made, PS2. We're hoping he can activate cheat codes on his PS2 thigh pads and win Defensive Player of the Year. It only seems fair since the other best corner in the NFL, Sauce Gardner, is literally allowed to cheat every game. We're also hoping this guy, Randy Gregory, whose specialty is sacking quarterbacks, has a huge year. Randy Gregory was once known for smoking a lot of weed. Now he's just known for never being healthy. Denver also drafted a corner named Riley Moss. He is white. He is the only white corner in the NFL. And it's been a good 20 years since the NFL has had a viable white corner. In terms of how rare this is, you'd have a better chance getting laid if this was your dating profile pic on Bumble or Hinge than spotting a white corner on an NFL roster. Now let's talk about the running backs. Running backs in the NFL are like, well, they're like Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriends. They get tossed aside as soon as they turn 25. But Denver's got a couple. Maybe 3 good ones that they didn't have last season. Javonte Williams is returning from a massive knee injury in a matter of months. A good reminder that NFL players are post-human specimens that are simply better than us in all physical matters. Before getting hurt though, Javonte Williams was the best running back at breaking tackles. They also signed Samaje Perine from the Bengals, who helped Cincy get to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they added an undrafted Youngstown State running back named Jaleel McLaughlin. A guy so unknown they misspelled his fucking name on his jersey in the first week of the preseason. If one guy can make the Broncos dangerous though, it is McLaughlin, who scored 4 touchdowns in 3 preseason games, showcasing his elite vision and quickness. It's like pulling a B-movie actor who's done 500 Sharknado movies and asking him to act in a Christopher Nolan film. Now, if you don't make him carry the entire movie and you stick to what he does well, it might be a huge asset. No position group, though, has been more cursed than the wide receivers. Injured every single year, all of them, basically. Same shit happened this season already. They lost Tim Patrick, who got hurt at the exact same time last year. Curse. We're banking on this guy named Jerry Jeudy to finally live up to the hype of being one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's already hurt as well. Being a wide receiver for the Broncos is like being a 27-year-old musician. It's the most dangerous occupation in the world. Now, a great place to find NFL wide receivers is in the football draft that happens every year. Well, the Broncos didn't have any draft picks because they traded them all for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. So they took a flyer on Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. We are banking on him to save us. If those guys don't deliver, we're hoping Weird Al Yankovic scores a touchdown as a tight end. And even if he doesn't, we will still love him because he shakes his hair in slow motion and makes us heterosexual men want to have sex with him. Now, their main enemy is the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Broncos last defeated when Barack Obama was still president. If I can borrow Barack's slogan, I hope this does change. There's also the Los Angeles Chargers, who played exactly 1/2 of good football in the playoffs last season and then took a nap for the rest of the game. The Chargers are a really talented team, but the Broncos find a way to beat them every year, even when the Broncos are bad, because the Chargers head coach is probably an idiot. Now, Denver needs to win 1 game against Kansas City, who has the best quarterback in the world in Patrick Mahomes, the best podcaster who also plays football in Travis Kelce, and maybe the best head coach in Andy Reid, who's like if the Kool-Aid Man knew how to design really cool plays. So the Chargers head coach is an idiot, and the Chiefs head coach is so good, or lazy, he's literally borrowing players from janitors and still scoring touchdowns with his plays.
I took one from a janitor one time at Green Bay.
That'd be like asking the guy who's fixing your furnace to also do your taxes, and then he does them so well that the IRS sends you a thank you letter. But there's a chance the Chiefs could be a little tired after winning so many playoff games. Plus, their most beloved fan was arrested for robbing banks, and Patrick Mahomes' younger brother was also booked for doing the sexual assault TikTok challenge. Kansas City's defeated the Broncos 15 straight times. And then there's the Las Vegas Raiders, who have beat the Broncos 6 straight times. Now the Chiefs are really good, so their win streak makes sense. The Raiders are not, which makes it really, really embarrassing. The Chiefs are like the older brother who beats you up because he's older, bigger, and stronger. The Raiders, they're like your younger stepbrother who has a disability and also kicks your ass. Their head coach is Josh McDaniels, who is perhaps the most vilified figure in Broncos history. He was the Denver Broncos head coach from 2009 to 2010. And for no reason other than hubris, he traded all of their best players, so we fired him mid-season. So for this season, I actually think the Broncos will win 10 games and get a wild card spot in the playoffs. Which is like hearing about a party someone you know is throwing, but you weren't actually invited to. So you ask them about that party, so they have to invite you out of guilt. But you don't care. You don't care because you haven't been to a party for so long that you will gladly take the pity invite. Ultimately, all that hinges on the quarterback Russell Wilson. The 2012 sports car that may have a lot of miles on it, but you're really counting on that tune-up to get it back to being roadworthy. And during that tune-up, They removed a bunch of unnecessary junk from the trunk so that car is sleeker, slimmer, faster.
Full lean and mean, ready to go, and focused.
And the radio is no longer allowed to play that banger Let's Ride. So he might just have a chance. Thanks for watching the Denver Broncos. For non-football fans, if you like this video and you want me to do the entire NFL in a video, please give it a thumbs up. 10,000 likes and I'll do the whole NFL.